Welcome to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. I'm James Groves, and along with my business partner, Bill Dement, we want to share our journey as small business owners with you. As owners of Hole in the Wall drywall repair, we will attempt to peel back the curtain of owning a small business in the trade service industry and talk about the many adventures of owning a small business. Hey, Bill.
James, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So in the never-ending search to bring something fresh to the table, I'm excited today because first of all, this is the most people we've ever had on a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Actually in Studio 58 today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to take a minute to introduce them real quick.
Lots of technical. We're sharing microphones and headsets and stuff, so it's
That's
kind of
really fun.
Yeah.
So we have a young man I've known for his entire life, actually, Mr. Colin DeBadges. Colin, say good morning. Colin is...
Say good morning again. I hope so. I need your microphone.
Good morning.
There you go.
Good morning.
There we go.
So Colin is an aviation mechanic in an aviation mechanic school now.
Yep.
And how long does this program run?
So the program I'm in is 15 months.
15 months.
So.
And then you'll take licensing exams, or you go into the workforce from there?
Yep. So I'm taking the three sections, general, airframe, and power plant. And so you take a test after each section. At the end, you get your license, and you can start working.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And let me introduce a friend of our family, Ava.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. Ava is a film student.
Yes.
Is that right? And you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, right now I'm at Valencia, and I'll be at UCF next semester. It's really fun. I mean, I'm more into the production side of things, so we'll see.
Okay, great. And then let me introduce Lauren Dement, someone very near and dear to me. I've known her since she was born. Because I'm her father. Lauren is a senior at the University of Central Florida, studying advertising and public relations. So, Lauren, you want to say good morning to us?
Good morning, everybody.
So the interesting thing that all of these guys have in common is they're from a specific generation called Generation Z. And what was the other term we discovered, Lauren? They call it Generation Zoomers?
Yeah, Zoomers.
Zoomers. And these are people born typically between 1997, 2012. It's relevant to us because it's the coming workforce.
Yeah.
The older of this generation are already entering the workforce and are in the workforce or finishing school within the next couple of years. The lower end of these generation are going to be in middle school and coming on, into the workforce in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. And let's just kind of do a quick overview. We talk about generations and titles, which I hate, but it's this the reality we're in. And if you were born basically in the mid 40s to the early to mid 60s, you were considered a baby boomer, right? These are parents coming home from the war and lots of babies, right?
Yes.
And then you're in my generation. I won't ask what generation you're in, Bill, but in my generation, we are in the Gen X generation. That's like from 65 to 1980, right? So that's my generation. And then, of course, millennials, which was my Gen Zers when I was like younger in the world. And that is the 81 to 1986. And then the Gen Zs came along, and they took a cool name as Gen Z. We had X. It's like, where'd Y go?
Yeah.
But the Gen Z generation, basically, we were kind of chatting off air. It's from 97 to 2012.
Yeah.
And I actually heard Colin say, can we shrink that a little bit? I don't want to be associated with this.
And one of the things I discovered in this, James, is because it covers such it's 15 years essentially. Mm-hmm. It's the largest generation out there right now.
Yeah.
More of them than boomers, actually, which I found surprising.
Yeah, and really, I mean, we giggle about, listen, I'm just an old white guy, So my generation is different, and we giggle. You want to stop car thefts, make them all stick shifts because no one knows how to drive stick shift. Here's a cassette tape, and all the boomer memes that are out there are funny. But the truth is you were a generation that didn't know what an answering machine was with tape, didn't know life without a cell phone, the internet. I mean, I knew what life was like without the internet.
Yep, I remember it well.
I was so excited that we had a full set of Encyclopedia Britannicas in my house because I could do my book reports with that without going to the library for all the information.
Yep.
You guys have so much more information at your fingertips. And you almost have a fire hydrant of information and data.
Boy, that's a
and
good term
content.
for it too. Fire hydrant.
Yeah, just coming at
from
you
everywhere.
at all times. And so I personally, selfishly need to learn more. I've raised a few of you guys. I've raised a few of the Gen Zers, but I hire you guys. And frankly, we work for your generation quite a bit. So this is great. We get to learn a little bit more about and kind of what makes you tick and the best way to communicate with this.
Well, let me set this up a little bit for you. This podcast, the idea for it generated from a project that Lauren did. She was doing an internship with an advertising agency over the summer. And the agency assigned her and several other interns to do a project, teach us something, they said to them. And Lauren will give you more details on that. And they chose to educate them about Gen Zers, and essentially it was understand us, know who we are. And they did a presentation. They created a booklet. They had a test at the end of it, following a series of questions to certify you to be able to operate with Gen Zers. And she came home after having done this at the agency and described it to her mother and me, and I thought immediately, first of all, this is a really good concept. And the agency pretty much really liked it. Is that true?
Yeah.
And I said, let's see if we can get together a podcast. We'll get a few other Gen Zers and let's just talk and see about learning about you guys. But Lauren, just take a minute, if you will, and tell us a little bit about the project.
Yeah, so this summer, as you know, I interned at an advertising agency, and they gave us this project called School Us. So basically no guidelines except for you have a writer, you have a designer, you have people that do social media. So you have all this stuff. So teach us something, and make something of it. So we made a pamphlet, we made a video, all this stuff. But we basically just wanted to teach them about our generation. And we thought this is really important because these are not only their new employees that are coming in, but also their new clients. So new clients, employees, customers, and it's also, we're 30% of the population right now and going to be entering the workforce. I'm born in 2000. I'm 23 and just getting into the workforce now. I know there's some Gen Zers that are already in the workforce, and it's not going to stop until those people that were born in 2012 have entered the workforce too. So it's really important to get to know what makes us tick, what we appreciate, what we value, and how to keep us in jobs. So that was one of the main things we focused on, was how to retain Gen Z employees.
Mm-hmm. I've managed many people over the years, and there was a part, I'd say probably early 2000s, where we just had so many applicants that we couldn't hire everybody. And as a manager, I'm not proud of this, but it was if you don't do your job, don't like it, it's okay. I got 10 other people to take your place. Mm-hmm. And it was really just an arrogant era for bosses.
Yeah.
We just, someone's right there, And then we ended up going through kind of a financial ick in the 2009's financial crisis. Things were kind of shifting. We had to lay people off, and we kept the really good people, and then the ones that weren't the greatest, we let go. But we still treated the good people not so great. Mm-hmm. And we ended up, and I did a study years ago where I was like, listen, we've kept the cream of the crop. They rise to the top, right? That's the old slogan. I'm not sure the Gen Zs know what that means, but
I know what that means.
okay. But the good people stayed, but we did not treat the good people as well as we should have. And so when the economy loosened back up and we had a chance to hire more people and things were going good, the good people left.
Yeah, they ran for the exits.
Mm-hmm.
They found somebody else that would treat them a little bit better.
Yeah.
And some of these companies out there, luckily I wasn't one of them, but some of these companies really got stuck in a pinch. And so this is why it's a great education, because our workforce is you, and you is a lot. It ranges from the person who's driving Uber to the person who's going to be working on airplanes to advertising and to film and movies. So it's not just one small little niche.
No,
it's
the whole enchilada.
The whole gambit is here.
Yep.
Right? So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, no, it's good. One of the markers, as we mentioned earlier, one of the traits is that people of your generation typically get their first smartphone before age 12. So, Ava, how old were you when you got your smartphone?
I was 13.
Okay.
So
So
close.
you were close.
Yeah, it was pretty much when I started going out with friends alone. My mom
Okay.
was like, I need to contact you. So, yeah.
Okay.
Back in my day. Oh,
Yeah. Colin, how old were you when you got your smartphone?
I think I was 16 or 17 actually.
Okay.
So wasn't until my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
I dare say that probably the ones closer to the 2012 mark are getting them even earlier. Than,
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure
Definitely.
of it.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
you guys, so you were
I was 13.
13. You were born in 2000.
Born in 2000.
2000,
2002. Yeah.
and 2000.
2002.
2002 as well.
Okay, so we're still early 20s, early 2000s here.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So you guys started out life without a smartphone, but you got one probably by late middle school, early high school, right? Yeah. And this is how we get along now, right? This is how we communicate. One of the other traits is that Gen Zers much rather communicate through texts than a phone call. Do you guys find
Yeah.
that to be true?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Definitely.
Okay, Ava,
Ava's-
opinion on that?
I'm not a big texter.
Okay.
I just hate. It's hard for me to respond to a text immediately as soon as I see it. A phone call, I love the verbal communication.
Yeah. Okay. What about
Probably
social
different.
media? Do you communicate through social media?
All my friends do.
Okay.
I'm not the biggest on that, but
Okay.
She doesn't respond on Snapchat.
Oh. Okay.
Like 3
All
weeks later.
Colin, social media?
Yeah, social media. Yeah, like mostly Instagram, I would say. But if I'm trying to hold a conversation with somebody, I would definitely just message them to their phone number.
Okay.
All right, I got a question. What about like FaceTime video calls? Is that big?
Yes.
totally. Yes.
Okay.
It is. I'm not too into it. It depends. Like if it's something serious or I'm trying to help somebody do something,
Yeah.
then yes. But I don't know. I never got into it really.
I never liked the idea of it. I mean, I thought that video calls were horrible. I'd be on my couch watching TV, my hair's a mess, and then all of a sudden my son FaceTimes me. What does he want? I'm like,
And his hair was a mess too.
do I have to FaceTime you? And then I'm from a generation you want to be put together if you're going to be on
Exactly.
screen.
Right,
That's
sure.
what I don't like.
Yeah,
about it.
Yeah.
but he's not. He's just got there. I mean, like he's like from the chin up. It's okay, and he's just like, well, I guess if you look like junk, I guess I can look like junk too. I'm not a big fan of walking through the grocery store with it up on FaceTime, but I'm getting used to it. I'm
Yeah.
getting used to that.
Yeah. And kind of in the same vein, one of the elements of the Gen Zers are that they tend to spend more time on their phones or as much time on their phones as other generations spent watching television. Would Colin, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I actually don't watch TV like at all.
Okay.
I would say yeah. I mean, and from people back in the day used to read newspapers and stuff. I think we read our phones and get our news from there and everything.
It's
Yeah.
true. Are you big TV watchers?
No.
No. How
I
about you?
am. As a film major, yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, of course. Wow. That makes sense.
Well, films for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Now,
I'm a big TV watcher.
Lauren likes to watch a show with her mom, and they'll watch 3 or 4 episodes at one time. But
Yeah,
it's
we
not.
binge.
It's something that they're essentially streaming.
Yeah.
So
you're not watching a TV
Yeah.
show with commercials.
No live
No.
TV for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't stand having to sit through a commercial. If I want to watch something, no ads.
I will
Okay.
say
Yeah,
there's
no,
a
I don't
part
care for
of
the
that
ads
that's
either.
He worked really hard
nostalgic
on
to me.
Do I?
There's a part of that that's nostalgic to me because
Yeah.
I'm like, that was childhood.
Yeah.
You always had to sit through
Yeah.
a
Okay.
commercial.
Yeah. The second I could record it and then fast forward through the commercials, my life got better.
I'm curious, do you guys pay attention to the news? And if you do, where do you consume your news information at? Anyone can jump on that one.
I'm gonna be honest. So probably for the last couple years, I have not been paying attention to the news just because there's just so much crap out there, and I don't want to be involved with it. So I find myself like being more positive, and if I'm just ignoring it, and I don't know.
Okay.
But if I don't ignore it completely.
Sure.
But I would say, yeah, if I was getting my news, it would be probably from some type of social media platform.
Okay. Lauren, would you
Something like
concur with
that.
that? Do you follow the news at all?
So if I'm seeing anything like from the news, it's going to be like that Apple widget where you swipe over and it's like the recommended articles. And so I just kind of see it, look at the title, and I'm like, okay, that happened,
Yeah.
I don't really
Yeah.
I don't have Twitter or,
So you don't like read the whole news article. You're just going to read the headlines.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
And our film
turn that mic to you there a little more.
Our film student, do you follow the news at all? And if you do, where do you consume your news from?
I like to be aware of what's going on in the world, but
Okay.
I definitely find that I'm happier when I'm not super plugged into
Okay.
everything that's going on. If I see an Instagram post pop up, I might look into that. But I think I get most of my information through my parents or my friends. People tell me what's going on.
Right.
I'll listen.
All right. So, quick question: you're all of voting age. Have you voted, and will you vote in
Yes.
the future?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Yes to both.
So, I would encourage you to get more knowledgeable prior to casting a vote.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
I do my
That's
research
when-
before.
That's when
Right.
I do a lot of research. for
That's
sure.
that's the only time I will pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
So another element of this Generation Z, it's said of your generation that you guys are more accepting and more open-minded in general than previous generations. So based on, the knowledge you have of teachers, parents, family, friends, do you feel like you're more open-minded? Do you feel like you're, more accepting?
Definitely. I think because of all the information that we have that's out there that we're exposed to, it just really is easy to see a lot of different perspectives that I think my parents didn't have.
Sure.
I think the information that people had when my parents were growing up was more tailored to their specific demographic rather than you're seeing, all different kinds of things on YouTube, Instagram, even Snapchat.
Yeah. And honestly, we noticed that because everybody in my house plays guitar. When my dad, who was born in 1928, was learning to play guitar at 14 or 15, it's whatever he could figure out
Right.
or hear off the radio. And then when I was coming up in the 70s and 80s and I was interested in learning how to play guitar, then it's whatever I could scratch up, But now, anything I want to learn, I just go on YouTube or on the internet and somebody's showing me exactly how to play whatever song I want to play.
Specific riff, you got it.
Yeah.
Lauren, how about you? Do you feel like, based on what you see of your generation, do you feel like you guys are more accepting and more open-minded?
Yeah, I think in general, yes. Of course, it has to, it differs person to person. But I think for the most part, I agree with Ava. We have so much information and we have, even though it can make you feel disconnected at times, social media and all of the different platforms we have do connect you to other parts of the world, other views that are different than your own, and you see more and more of that, and you take a step back and you're kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
well,
you just have a broader exposure, don't you?
when you're a kid and you're just at your house and you know how your family works, and then you get out and you go to school and you go to your friend's house and you're like, oh, well, their family's completely different than mine. You see all these people that are completely different than you online, and you don't have to go to, Australia or wherever to see that. You can just see it through
Yeah.
your phone or your laptop or whatever.
Yeah, your exposure is so much faster, right? Like when I grew up, you have a missionary from a foreign country would come to church and show slides, and you would have a little carousel, and they would go through the slides, and that's how you would learn about a tribe in Africa or something. Or if you were lucky, you would have National Geographic on TV, and you could learn about a few
Yeah.
things. Now it's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So when my father is a missionary in Africa, my family's out there, so I get updates from the mission field on a weekly basis, if not daily basis, where I would never have had that. There was a time in my life when they were overseas and I wanted to talk to them. They were in deep Congo and I could not call them directly, so they would have a ham radio. They would radio somebody in another country in Zimbabwe.
Oh, wow.
And then I would call that person from the landline, and they would go, hey, I got James here to talk to you. Tell him I love him. All right, over. And that's how we talk to him. And then fast forward now it's like I can pick up my phone and I can WhatsApp them at any time.
Yeah.
So it's completely different.
So, Colin, I'm interested, curious, if you have any comments regarding your generation being a little more accepting, open-minded. Do you perceive your generation as that?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I don't know if I have too much to say about that. I just,
Okay.
as a yes or no, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that you remind me of a comment that I really wanted to put in. There's a lot of people in this generation, And I think it's a mistake to say all these people are lumped together and they're all alike. Obviously, you guys are all strong individuals, okay? And that tells me that there's millions in this generation that are individuals, but they have had, the common thing is they've had a shared experience as far as interaction with society, with technology, and those kinds of things. The time in, world history that you're actually born and being raised, it's just different than someone from 100 years ago or even 50 years ago. It's
I
just
think
different.
Bouncing off of that, we learn in advertising to understand generations and generational attitudes, and with that, you learn what are like the markings of that generation. Like, what significant event does everybody relate to? Everybody can say, "Oh, that happened to me, and that made me think this way," or whatever. So it could be your generation grew up with the war, or your generation grew up, after 9/11 or whatever. One thing that connects us all is that, and we've touched on this already, but we're called digital natives. Like, we grew up with technology as a part of our daily life. And another thing that connects us all is the pandemic. We were all graduating high school during the pandemic, going into college, maybe in our first couple years of college. And that was really it's just such an interesting time because you're, finding yourself, forming new ideas, and to have that pandemic that everybody could relate to, TikTok comes out, we all have it's almost it's just so much that has happened in the past few years that really just connects our whole generation. And I realize that it can sometimes make other generations, it can make us a little harder to understand for other generations.
Did you guys walk or did you guys do a virtual graduation?
I actually was blessed enough to be able to walk. My graduation, 2 weeks before we graduated, they were like, okay, we're lifting the mask mandate. You can bring up to 8 people to graduation. And I know a lot of my friends that also graduated the same year as me also didn't have that.
Yeah, my youngest, it was a virtual graduation.
Yeah. I had an in-person one.
Yeah.
We were at the Amway Center, but, everybody was,
6 feet apart.
yeah.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
that
that's
crap.
what one of my sons, Sam, that's what the graduation was. There could be 2 people per family there, so it was typically mom and dad, and we were all 6 feet apart. It was an odd experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yours, Lauren, was just a normal graduation, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Because
I had
you graduated.
Normal.
Yeah.
a year before.
I fell into a really good spot, and I had a normal high school graduation, normal high school prom, normal everything, and it didn't happen until I was in maybe my second year of college, where we were in class, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Well, we got to go home,
Yeah, we're done.
and we're
Yeah.
not coming back." And we were just like, "What?"
Yeah.
That was kind of at spring break, right? Like, let's take spring break and
Yeah.
not
and
come
we
back.
we never came back from spring break.
Wow.
Lost
Yeah.
the whole end of my junior year and then pretty much all
Wow.
senior year.
Yeah.
See, that's the really unique experience.
Yeah, got robbed. Yeah, when William graduated, he graduated from FSU with his 4-year. We went. Then he went back for his master's, and he never had a walk. When he
Okay.
graduated with his master's.
Wow.
You guys got robbed.
Wow.
Senior prom? Do you guys have senior proms? Do you guys?
I had senior prom, not junior prom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, so me and Ava worked at Chick-fil-A together, and Colin actually worked there too. I don't know if you were here during this.
Oh yeah, I was. So they had put together one for all the workers.
Really?
Yeah, Chick-fil-A sponsored it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's nice.
So we all went, and the juniors and seniors were able to have their prom at the boss's house.
I took Lauren as my date.
I remember
took it
that.
to go.
I do. We still have the photos. You had a green dress,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Nice.
All right. Well, let me ask you guys this. It is said of your generation that you guys surpass all other generations in embracing diversity and inclusion. And the other comment is that you guys are the most ethnically diverse generation that there's been. Just an observation. The world looked different to me 50 years ago. And I love the diversity. I love that we have the inclusion. But I'm just curious if you guys have any comments on that or if you've made an observation there.
Yeah, in regards to we're the most ethnically diverse generation, that makes total sense to me because you can't really reverse it. You can't really get more like just this race and just this race. Like you're just gonna keep changing, and new races are gonna happen. And I do love it because I think it's like it is a little bit about like what America is about. It's just this melting pot of different people and different races, different beliefs, different ideas, and I think we all have something to learn from each other.
Yeah, if we want to go back to how you were saying we're sharing all of our information, one thing I love to do is learn about different people's day-to-day stuff. Like on YouTube, which is, I will say that's the thing I watch the most. Like, I know you guys watch TV.
Yeah.
I'll watch YouTube.
No, I'm a YouTuber, believe
Yeah.
it or not.
Actually, I know.
I watch a
baseball.
baseball game. That's all I watch on TV, literally.
The cooking shows, the news, and YouTubing.
No, it's great stuff.
Right. So I love to learn about people's life experiences and what they do day to day. So I'll sit there and I'll watch, like, here's a day in the life of this guy, this mechanic, right? And he's just showing everything he does for the day.
Yeah.
And I love watching stuff like that because I feel like it's giving me a whole another perspective on life. It's not just what I'm seeing. I can get to see his, and
Yeah.
I think that's great.
I think kind of piggybacking off of that, our generation, I think, is super accepting and open to different walks of life and people doing things differently. And I think that we are really good at embracing the difference instead of trying to make everybody the same. And I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that.
I wonder if you guys recognize this. I used to sit down and watch a 2 or 3 hour sporting event, James, or a 2.5, 3 hour movie, and I was completely content. But now that I really like watching things on YouTube, I'll think, well, I want to watch this guy work on this old car.
Yeah.
And then I'll find 2 or 3 videos, and one of them is 20 minutes. I'm like, no, I don't want to invest 20 minutes. Oh, here's another one with 7 minutes. Okay. And so I'll play that one, but I play it on 1.5 speed because my attention span has shrunk.
Yeah.
Do you guys notice that, or is that just the world you all live in?
definitely. It's such an influx of information constantly. That's one thing that I try to do is take a step back every once in a while and, okay, maybe let's not go on Instagram, 5 million times a day or YouTube.
okay.
Like, take a
So,
minute.
so how do you digest what's some of the content that you would say might be a guilty pleasure that, all right, I've got a few minutes, got an afternoon, I can wake up late, whatever I want, and then you grab your device, whatever it is, iPad, phone. What is like a guilty thing that you may invest an hour in or half an hour in, or do you never invest that long?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. And I think Bill and I are the same. We watch the same type of stuff.
We do.
There's a guy I watch called Vice Grip Garage. He's on YouTube, and he'll post a hour and a half video or 2 hour video of him working on one car. Like he'll do there's a 1965.
Yeah, and he's just out in the field
Pontiac
with it.
Bonneville,
I mean, the weeds are
yeah.
coming up in the engine, and he's just going to fiddle with it and get it going.
And it's just him, the camera, and he's working on it.
And he's really funny.
Yeah, he's
very
funny. It's great.
entertaining.
Yeah.
So I will definitely sit there and watch the whole thing. I won't speed it up or anything.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I got
no,
to speed
I
it
gotta-
up, man. I ain't got time for that.
Me, no, I love watching them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I will watch a 2-hour video explaining YouTube drama that's going on. And then I get bored and I'll have it on in the background and start doing other things. And I have to, it's got to be something.
I'm curious, with your degree program, do you find yourself watching a lot of movies?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Okay.
I mean, my mom is cinephile. Is that the word, cinephile?
Like to watch
She
movies.
loves movies. So every time
That's
I
a
come
new
home,
term
she's
I'd
got
never
a-
heard. I love it. Thanks.
That's what I like to call her. But if I come home, oh my gosh, she's watching a new indie film or whatever she has on the TV, and I will have something to do and then just sit down on the couch next to her, and I'm invested.
Yeah. Lauren, what's your guilty?
Yeah, it's
Long
definitely
form.
guilty because I watch YouTube Shorts sometimes. So it's even worse than TikTok because it's not even anything that you really want to see.
Just
You get on it and you just keep
scroll.
scrolling. And I think that has to do with the attention span because we start with TV and then you're able to sit through the ads and whatever. Like I could do that when I was a kid. And then you go to YouTube and you can skip through the ads and
Yeah.
you can put it on 1 time speed. Or however, whatever, 2 times
Yeah.
speed. I definitely do that. And then now you have TikToks where it's 30-second videos or less, and you see something and you just keep scrolling. and he keeps scrolling and he keeps scrolling.
And then you
it's
see
just
something totally different.
yeah. And it's just so easy to keep scrolling, even if you're not very interested.
Why are all my shorts like road rage or fail videos?
Do you comment on them?
I don't comment on anything.
No, I don't comment.
I will
either.
do like if I'm going through reels or shorts on YouTube.
Oh.
If I come across like a cooking thing, like I want to make that. Luckily, the places that I look, they actually have like a full episode. I'll go watch a full episode. So the short will grab me. You know, I want to learn how to make that. You know, bacon fried deliciousness, whatever it is.
Yeah.
What you were just saying, something that I kind of don't like about technology is like how advertising caters to you. They try to cater to you. They'll see how much time you have watched a certain video, and then they'll give you tons of videos just like it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't like that because I feel like I'm very narrowed in what I'm seeing. So I'll go and make a whole nother account, and it'll just give me a bunch of random stuff, and then I can pick from there again. I don't know. It's like
You feel
it's
like,
like
you're
if you
being
go into
stalked.
Yeah, I know.
it's like if you go into a library and you're only allowed to see one section.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that.
Okay.
Oh, so
okay.
the algorithms got you.
But,
Yeah.
but you can search
Right.
other areas.
But sometimes I
get what
won't
you're
know what to
saying.
search, and I'm
no,
like,
it's
you
true.
know,
Yeah,
I just want to see something different. You know?
Yeah.
So what you should do? You should do nothing but YouTube baby kittens for like 3 days and see how your algorithm changes.
We'll all be baby kittens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was, sorry.
I'm sorry. No, you go.
I was going to say you had another question, didn't you, about privacy and something like that?
Let me ask you guys a quick question about if you are skeptical or concerned at all about your data privacy, because everything, you know, our lives, there's such a big part of our lives lived online now. And that this was an element that wasn't even part of my life till I was 40 years old. You know, there was no online. And then suddenly if you weren't online, you weren't really alive.
Yeah.
So everything now is, how do you guys feel that? Do you feel skeptical about your online privacy?
I feel like we should be, but for me, it's just like nothing bad's happened yet.
Right.
You know, this is how it's always been in my mind.
You mean you not looked at the TikTok terms of agreements and read them in detail?
No, nobody
Oh,
has time
definitely
for
Oh,
that.
okay.
Definitely.
Ain't nobody
not.
got time for that.
I guess the way I look at it is like, what am I going to do about it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
If they know, they know. I mean, I can't change that. I guess I would also say I view a lot of stuff like that. It's like, well, the government's corrupt. I mean, what can I really do about? I mean, yeah, you can vote, you can, but is it really going to change? I don't think so. I think I've given up on a lot of stuff like that because
that's
it's just
interesting.
like, what am I going to do about it?
Sure.
You know, am I going to be worried about that every day of my life, or am I just going to live my own life and not, you know, care? Which I feel like
Yeah, I
is
felt
the
that
way to go
myself.
because I used to be so worried about every little thing. Like I used to be pretty into politics and now not so much. And I feel more positive, like I was saying before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get you.
I mean, I'm like, what's the worst that's going to happen? China has my data. They're going to make my algorithm better. And I'm good, you know,
I don't think I'm that
more
interesting.
videos
They
to
know
China.
what medication
Right.
you're on.
I have
They've scanned your face and they can
Yeah.
hack into
Yeah.
your account.
heard about that one.
Yeah.
I have gone onto public Wi-Fi before and gotten hacked, and that was kind of scary. They had all my passwords and stuff, so I have a VPN.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I think part of my degree in advertising, one of the first classes, they just tell you straight up, like, how much information people really have on you. Like, every time you swipe your credit card, they know what your purchases are. And those kind of lists of information about you can be sold to companies that are trying to advertise to you.
Yep.
And so it makes me feel a little bit better because I know exactly who's stealing my information. And they just, mainly just want to, advertise to me, and I feel a little bit better about that
Well,
that way.
being in advertising, you're learning a lot of these things. But having our marketing genius right next door here, there's a lot of things that as a business owner we can do. I mean, it's like I can literally put a map around the convention center of Orlando during the home show, and every time someone walks through that geofence, I can hit them on social media. And when they leave, I can follow them for
Yeah, it's really,
2
it's
weeks.
truly
you know.
amazing. Yeah.
What?
And that's been around a while. That's old
Yeah.
technology.
Yeah, we can
Oh,
advertise.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we can
Very useful.
It can be, and we can advertise in neighborhoods, and we want where the median household price is $500,000
Yep.
or up. We want to make sure that the average cost, the home income is over $150,000. We can literally pinpoint
Yeah.
as a business, and
Yeah.
this, the marketing agency give us that ability to do it, because all of that data is there. Even if you want to mail a postcard, they can hone it down to, okay, we're going to mail postcards to these zip codes, but only to the homes, not the apartments, not the, because we want to sell only to people who own their homes.
Yeah.
It is, there really is not a lot of privacy anymore, and it can be used for good as well as bad. But I remember the old movie where they used retinal scans as you walk in a store. They can, oh, hello.
Yeah.
Lauren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was scary.
It is scary when you talk to your friends about something and it pops up as an advertisement
Oh, yeah.
on your
Yeah.
phone.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
cool.
That's
And
definitely.
they all deny
something
it.
I've
They're like,
noticed.
no, we don't listen.
Yeah, right.
No.
I know Siri is listening to
Yeah,
everything.
but yeah,
Everything I
exactly.
say.
Why is Alexa coming on?
Yes.
Ready to start your own business? How would you like a jumpstart? Hole in the Wall Drywall Repair is now offering franchise opportunities for strong entrepreneurs. When you franchise with Hole in the Wall, we help you get up, running, and ready to start generating revenue fast. You get access to our comprehensive training program, continued support, and our proven business model that has allowed us to experience explosive growth. Achieve financial success while providing a valuable service to your community. Take the first steps towards achieving your entrepreneurial dreams. Go to holeinthewallfranchising.com.
All right, going to shift a little bit here. You guys either are in or will soon be entering the workforce. Here are some things that we have seen that Gen Zers expect as they go to work and in their career. And I'm just going to have you guys kind of comment on these. Flexibility being the first one. Training. And obviously, college would qualify for that. And Colin, I know you're getting training for aircraft repair.
Yep, tech school.
And interesting projects. Again, I talk to Colin every week, so I know he's like, no, this week we're doing this electrical thing, and it is interesting stuff. And a big one is exposure to the decision maker. So when you go to work somewhere, you want to be able to reach and talk to not just your immediate supervisor, but maybe somebody who's a real decision maker in a company. Let's take a minute or two and just kind of talk about this. Anybody want to kind of run with that?
In regards to what was the first?
So flexibility was the first one on that list.
What do you mean when you say flexibility? Like,
So flexibility of schedule. There are a lot of jobs now, obviously since COVID, where you can do a lot of your work at home. I know many people that go into the office 2 days a week or 1 day a week, and then they work at home all week. Well, that's pretty flexible. And I just wonder how much would you value that?
oh yeah, definitely way up there.
Okay.
One thing I like about the aviation industry is they're coming to a new standard where most everywhere offers jobs, and your schedule is usually a shift of 4 days. So, like 4 10-hour days, or sometimes they even do 3 13.5-hour days. And then you get 4 days off or 3 days off. And I think that's great.
So you'd say you do value flexibility.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, they can't
love
bring the
that.
airplanes to him at his house, so he'll have to go into work.
To pull one home from work behind his car.
But I mean, a lot of times you could do in advertising. You might be able to work from home remotely.
Yeah.
A lot of people work from home, actually.
Yeah.
There's people, we have one guy that lives in Brazil, and he works from Brazil, and he does our videos. Yeah, I definitely think it's having that option of working from home is a plus, but I love the community of being in a place, seeing the people every day, talking to them. That's such a big part of
I agree with that too.
like a life and of a job.
There
for
is
me.
something to be said about the water cooler talk. Being able to just be with your work comrades and talk.
See
'Cause-
people.
See people.
Yeah.
Because you become friends with them, and it's hard to be as friendly over Zoom. I get that. I know that in the drywall industry, we can't take your house to remotely. We have to show up to work every day at 7:30, and we're done.
Yeah.
We're done. So not all jobs can be that way. And frankly,
No.
if everyone in your generation wants to work remotely, then there is going to be
no one to service your car.
no one to
it's true.
no one to serve me Chick-fil-A.
No, it's true.
It's just not going to happen. So there has to be a compromise, obviously, but to be in to get educated to a point where you can be able to do that kind of white collary style job, that could be a benefit, I guess.
Ava, I'm curious. Once you get into your field, film,
Yeah.
How important is training, and are you aware that there's kind of a continuing training that happens in that field?
Definitely. I mean, that's what I'm trying to build a lot of my knowledge on right now.
Okay.
Is, everything that I need to know. But a lot of stuff is the same. We have handbooks that have been around for generations, that a lot of it still applies. A lot of it's changing just because there's more technology.
No, I'm sure that,
of
yeah.
course. But a lot of the basic things so far that I've learned, pretty
And obviously something you would value.
definitely. Yeah.
Colin, let's ask you the same question. And I know with aviation mechanic, the training is going to be an ongoing thing, right?
Yeah.
Because there are constant updates, I
Yeah,
assume.
always.
And
I definitely like to learn hands-on for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and that is a job that is hands-on.
Yeah.
So
periodically, would an employer send you to an additional school?
Oh yeah,
or,
and I would definitely take them up on that. I know some of the more experienced guys, like my teachers, who they're in their 60s and
Yeah.
they've worked their entire life as an aviation mechanic. They always tell us, listen, if they're gonna offer a training on a specific aircraft system, like say this brand new Boeing just came out, take that opportunity. And I know I was already going to do stuff like that, but that's something that I definitely like, and constantly learning something new.
Actually have more to add that I forgot about. Obviously, I'm going to film school, and a lot of filmmakers, directors, producers, a lot of them have gone to film school, but now we're starting to see a surgence of producers, directors, people that are totally self-taught, that are watching YouTube videos, looking
Oh,
stuff
that's
up
interesting.
online,
Yeah,
and
okay.
teaching themselves, making their own movies, and getting into the field that way.
Yeah.
So I think, there's two sides to everything, but
Yeah. Okay.
I would like to be trained by professionals.
Okay. So that flows into sort of my next point, interesting projects. I got to think the film is a really creative field, advertising, very creative. Lauren, how big a element is that for you to get interesting projects?
Yeah, that's a big one. I know that when you're an intern and you're new and whatnot, you kind of have to get some of the boring projects. You have to do the the background research instead of, actually make a campaign or make an ad that will go into a magazine. But recently in this new internship that I've been doing, the stuff that I have been doing has been getting published and been going into magazines and going on websites. And I feel like I learned so much more just from getting in there and doing something interesting or finding something that interests me and doing it than I would have done in those internships where I was just kind of researching or organizing files or whatever.
There's got to be a sense of pride when you finish a project,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
We talk about, as guys, we like to beat our chest, and but I mean, there is something to be said when you're done working on a vehicle or an airplane, or you're done tinkering with a new toy, or heck, I get that way when I finish editing a podcast. It's just like, oh man,
Sense
that's
of
a good one.
accomplishment.
Yeah.
That makes you feel good. There's a little bit of a chemical rush in our brain that makes
Yeah.
us, I want to do that again. It's like when you don't play golf, but when you're playing golf and you hit that one perfect golf swing, and you're like, you know what? I'll come back next time and play that hole
Yeah.
again. So that's nice to have that sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think not only interesting projects, but I think a big part that ties into that is just giving us something that is challenging.
Yeah.
Like
Definitely
we
love
don't
that.
want to start out with the easy stuff and then you hold our hand and then, check up on like, hey honey, how you doing? Like just give us something hard, and if we can't handle it, we'll just we'll ask for help, or we'll figure it out. I think that's how I learned, just getting thrown in there and just learning how to swim, when
Yeah.
you're already in the ocean.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or
Okay.
we'll look it up online if we don't.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll ask Google for help.
For sure.
So as you think about it, young Gen Zers coming into the workforce in a couple of years, what are the things that companies are going to need to do to get your attention and keep it?
A variety. I like having something new every day.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I don't want a job where I'm sitting there. All right, you're going to be the guy that takes care of this one thing every single day. And then, you're a bigger part of a huge machine.
Yeah. Okay.
I like having a variety of knowledge and being able to do a bunch of different things.
Okay. So a company's going to need to be able to provide interesting work.
Yeah, and maybe that goes with our shortened attention span. I don't know if
Yeah.
I
Ah,
totally
there you
have
go.
that.
Yeah,
Me
good
too.
point.
I don't know if I am totally like that, but I know my peers are. I have definitely some friends that are like that.
Okay. Ava, what are you going to be looking for, you think? What would you expect from a company to attract you and to keep your attention?
And correct me if I'm wrong, fellow Gen Z, but I think that our generation is super into fairness and justice. And I know even at my own work now, like if a manager is being unfair, not treating females versus males the same, we all get upset about it and we're all talking about it. And, that's one thing I think that managers, management, owners, people need to be making sure that all of their employees are heard, not just one. You're not just favoring certain people, certain age groups. Everybody wants to be heard and understood,
Okay.
I think it's actually harder as a manager to. I mean, you will be held accountable
Yeah.
for those things now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As in the past, you could get away with a little bit more,
Yeah.
Right.
questionable things.
Yeah,
So
it's
there's
true.
no way that we could get away with things like that now because you'll get called on the carpet for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, Lauren, we'll give you the final word on it. What do you think you're going to be expecting from a company you might go to work for?
The biggest thing for me is, obviously you want interesting work, you want something that you can do, you want something that is going to pay you well. But one of the biggest things for me is just the company culture and, knowing what the purpose of the company is. So, like, for example, I'll use Chick-fil-A. Instead of, I'm here to pass out chicken sandwiches or whatever. No, the company told me that I was hired to make a difference in the lives of people every single day and make people smile and serve people, So I think knowing what the greater purpose of a company is or working towards a greater cause is really important for me and I think a lot of other Gen Z.
So, how would you value salary, dollars, over experiences?
Yeah. Oh, what do you mean when you say that?
Well, if I was to offer you $100,000 a year, then you had to sit in a room and push a button every day.
And do the same thing. You're
the same thing,
responsible
right?
for
I
justice
don't know if I
every
would
day.
take that.
Or if
I'm
I
gonna
pay
be
you
honest.
$50,000 a year, but you could do the thing you
This
love
is
to
a
do.
dynamic job.
Yeah.
You can,
I got into my job because I love working on stuff. I started working on cars and other mechanical things. So it wasn't always about the pay for me. And I don't think it ever was, honestly.
okay.
It just so happens the pay is very good.
So
But,
definitely, yeah,
you
no,
know.
it is. I know for that field. So, but you would say you're an experience over dollars kind of
Yeah.
guy. You
Yeah.
value that more.
And
Or quality of life versus
Yeah,
dollars.
uh-huh.
And at certain times in life, I guess it's just you just have to do what the job is.
yeah, you stick it out. Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that I may want this, but the reality
Right,
is
yeah.
that
Yeah.
I'm just going to have to do the job anyways.
Yeah.
But long term, it pays off, right? And one of the things that I kind of learned about the Gen Z generation is that you don't mind jumping from job to job until you find the place you like, right? I know that in the Boomer generation, if you were an engineer, you went to work at Martin Marietta, you could retire at Martin Marietta. In my generation, a little bit differently, where you could have a couple different jobs, but once you found your niche, you kind of stayed there, maybe 6, 7 years, 10 years, maybe. But I mean, there was a statistic that I heard you guys talk about once, where between you guys start working in the age of late 20s, I mean, you'll have a dozen jobs, right?
Yeah.
And because you're okay, moving on to the next best thing.
Yeah.
So I know that I moved in at 17. Are all three of you still living at home with your mom and dad?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we're still living. So I think that's probably a little bit different of a generation
Yeah.
thing.
And I think it just goes with just how expensive everything is now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not
A
knocking
big
it.
part of it.
I'm not knocking
Yeah.
living. I mean, you need to.
If I could move out now
Yeah.
and go to school and everything, yeah, I would.
You
but,
would, yeah.
But man,
Although it is nice to have the internet paid by somebody else. So I think.
No, and to be honest, I'm really happy that my kids chose to go to school locally and essentially stay at home.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing that you guys have that I'm not sure all of us had when we were younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For my generation.
I think our parents are a big part. So like the Gen X and late boomers, correct?
Yes.
Are a big part of one, like the culture of accepting us staying at home a little bit longer than usual, and 2, accepting like the job changes and encouraging the job changes. I know that personally, whenever I felt unhappy in a job or like I wanted to move on, try something new, I've always been encouraged by and inspired. Like I say that Ava's mom inspires me because she just like up and changes jobs, if she's not happy.
Call
and
her Barbie. She's had all the careers.
Yeah.
That's funny right there.
And so I think that our generation sees that from the Gen X, and we're like, oh, that's normal. So, and I think Gen X was probably the first to kind of start making that a thing. Gen X and millennials were like, oh, we're just going to change jobs. But we, Gen Z, see it, and we're like, okay, perfect. That's perfectly normal. We want to do
And I
10
think it
different
is
things.
easy to do that nowadays too. We have there's an app called LinkedIn, and I know Lauren's on it, but
Yep.
you can job search all the time through that. You have connections. Like I know people at American Airlines, Frontier Airlines. I work there. All the wherever, and it's just like, hey, if you don't like where you're at, hey, I might have something for you. Somebody I used to work with 2 years ago, and they'll be like, listen, I got this opening. It's easy. It's very easy to pick and choose what you might want to do.
And we like to poach people. When we see good people, we like to steal them.
We
from other
steal them if we
companies.
can. Yeah.
I will say that as a parent, my father has always wanted me to have it better than he did, right? As his father did with him. And for us, I want my kids to have it better than we did, right? So we do have a desire to make sure that you're set up to. I do feel that at some point, though, you do have to kick somebody out of the nest a little bit, let them fly. And that doesn't mean out of the house. It just means that there has to be responsibility instilled. I think I look down on people who let their 27-year-old live in the basement without a job playing video games all day. I don't think that they're doing anyone any favors.
No.
I love that the three of you are here. Obviously, I know two of your parents, and I don't know, Ava, I don't know your mom, but I know that you guys come from a pretty steady household and some good stock, which is a very good advantage. And hopefully one day when you guys start your own families, you're going to want that same love, the betterment for your children as we do for our kids, for sure. So I enjoyed this. This is fun.
No, I
learned a
told you
lot.
it was going to be good, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I learned a lot.
I see a lot of these guys because I have still several Gen Zers at home. And so the friends and the people that come through my house are Gen Zers, and by and large, I enjoy them.
Yep. Yeah, there's some good ones out there. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for proving us old guys wrong sometimes. I like that.
Yeah. Colin, Ava, Lauren, thank you all for
Yeah.
your time.
of course.
Thanks
having
for
us on.
thanks
Yeah,
for coming
we
on.
love
You
it.
guys
Excellent.
did
Well,
a good job for
We'll
us.
have to do another one of these sometime.
Yeah, I'd love that. That'd be great.
Sure.
All right. Well, listeners, thanks for listening. We've had a good time today, and thanks for listening to Hole in the Wall, and we'll talk to you next time. We'd like to thank you for listening to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. We'd love for you to join our Facebook group and keep the conversation going. If you'd like to learn more about us and our business, check us out at holeinthewall.com. If you'd like to learn more about how to start a Hole in the Wall franchise, go to holeinthewallfranchising.com.